All right, welcome back. On this video, I want to talk about what kind of spares do I carry. So I think to preach about it in a lot of my videos, spares are so important. Have as many spares as you possibly can because it's a race car and you're going to break things, and nobody wants to get out there on a race weekend or an HPDE weekend and first or second session out something breaks and you're done. You're calling Rush, you're calling Blair, you're calling who, and trying to get parts shipped in, overnighted to the track, and you know, having a part with you that are common items and maybe some not so common items that you might collect over time can just absolutely save your weekend. So in this video, I'm going to go through, I just kind of honestly organized my spares a little bit better than I've had them for a while, but I'll kind of go over and show you what some of them are, what they are, why I have them, how I got them, or when I broke them, and why I decided to start carrying them. Seems like every time I take the car out, not every time, the car runs well a lot of times and I have lots of great weekends with no issues, but it seems like every time I break something, it's something that maybe I don't have, or I have part of it but not all of it, and so you'll constantly grow this spare package. But I did buy a spare package when I ordered the car from Rush. When I went to pick it up, I had gotten, you know, extra set of wheels and tires, some shocks, and some this, that, and the other. Starter, you know, starter's a big one, a lot of guys tear up. Fortunately, I have not torn mine up yet, so A+ to that. But yeah, so I'm going to show you around my spares a little bit. So for starters, what I have here is, and I carry all this stuff with me, Spaniard wrenches. This is a CV axle joint, okay? Obviously it can be an outside, inside, doesn't matter. Okay? These right here are the cups that hold on your body, like you can see that one right there. Okay, that's what these are. Okay, I actually ordered these by accident. I wanted to get something different. But so here, obviously zip ties will save the world. Now what I have here is, these are new rod ends, okay? And so one is left-hand thread and one is right-hand thread. Obviously I have a lot more than one than the other, but it's just I'm replacing the ones that I'm seeing the play in. Now this is a whole bag of spare bolts and nuts, or mostly just bolts and hardware. There's a couple ends that I've replaced that are in there as well. But sometimes maybe those ends have a little bit of play in them. You know, in a pinch, if I'm out of them, maybe it saves my weekend, so I carry them with me. Now, this is obviously your diff adjuster, and then, you know, these are obviously the same rod ends that your rest of your suspension takes. But I keep these ones here. You know, and again, a big thing is this rod adjustment sleeve. I actually destroyed one of those. It was my own fault, just adjusting it, and so I carry those. Now, obviously here I have a clutch cable. We got oil pressure sensors. I've been blessed not to have destroyed any of those yet, so that's good. Now this is a plug to communicate with the engine. This is like a Suzuki part, so this is a motorcycle, and this actually adapts right to an OBD2 plug. Sorry, I couldn't speak there. I've actually never used it. I thought that I was having an issue with the car. I went ahead and ordered it quick, but sure enough, this wasn't the problem, and so I've actually never hooked it up, but I'm curious. I really need to do that one of these days and just see what I can see. So what I have here is a throttle position sensor at the pedal, and so this is actually your, you know, what your pedal is actually turning this little rod, and this is what's revving you up. Obviously I have my toe strings for setting my toe, which I showed in another video. I have some sockets right here that I use for various things, like removing the CV axles in the back. Obviously I have an extra rear sprocket, chain, a brand new chain, and I have the master link in a kit. I'll show you. I carry these little wrenches because you just never know, you know, if that down in the pedal box, your throttle position sensor, when you're replacing this guy here, you need some little tiny little wrenches to get down in there, so I just put a little small wrench kit together. Now obviously this is a chain brake tool for changing your chain. Okay, these is a spare clutch switch for being able to start the car in any gear. Kind of something a little bit newer that Rush started doing. Now this is the wire that hooks to your steering wheel. So I guess these, sometimes they break or whatever, so I have a spare one of those. Spare radiator cap. Actually Bill Wright can attest to me having that spare cap because he needed it one time when we were at the track together, and was able to use my cap and finish his weekend off and have a good time, and then just gave it back to me when we were done. A brand new set of brake pads. I just put a set on, so I only have one spare now. One of the times when I broke my upper control arm bolts, which, you know, anybody who's broken them can attest, I actually hurt the line, and so this line is actually kinked right here a little bit. But again, it wasn't leaking. I just seen the little kink in it, so again, God forbid I were to have another incident where that line were to get ruptured or something, and I wanted to save my weekend, I could. Okay, so moving on, starter motor, brand new in the box. Now here's a caliper. I had a caliper stick on me a little bit one time. I ended up freeing it up and just keeping an eye on it. It seemed to be okay since. And so I haven't replaced it, but now these calipers are either left hand or right hands. And so this is a, looks like a driver's side. So this would work for the front or the back driver's side, but you would need a different one for the passenger side. I do believe, yes, you would, because then the bleeders would be facing down if not. But I was pretty sure on that. And so what I have in here is a 14, a 15 and two 16s, and then I have a 15 on the car. So essentially I have two 16. These are your front sprockets. So essentially I have two 16s, two 15s, and a 14. Okay, now this is a cool little thing that I have for changing the oil. It's a piece of siding, and I'll show y'all how I use it. One of these videos I'll change the oil when I'm due. Maybe in a short while I'll be due again. But this is something that I learned working at a quick lube. We used to keep pieces of siding down in the pit for changing oil in a car to deflect oil. So I actually cut this to exact size that I needed to be able to take the oil filter out. And so what I do is I stick it in there just like this, where the base of the oil filter would be facing this way. And then the oil will come in, it runs into this ridge here, and this is sloped up. So the oil can only run left and right into my catch can, and this is wide enough to go over the exhaust. And then when I'm done, I could just remove it and wipe it off and clean it and save it for the next time. So very cool trick to keep you from smoking for 10 minutes after you change your oil and soak in your wrap. Now this is a throttle cable. Now my car is drive-by-wire, so I actually got this from a buddy who had an earlier chassis number. I carry it to the track with me every time, so hey, if we're ever at the track together and you destroy a throttle cable and you need one, come see me, I have one. So going over here, now I showed you all before, I just did a control arm video. These are all no good, I believe. I think this upper might be okay. In here I still have two shocks that need to be rebuilt and the old sprocket carrier. I don't carry that stuff with me. I don't carry these control arms with me because essentially to me they're no good. I haven't even been carrying this with me, and that's because I have a new one, which I'll show you here in a minute. And these are the other ball joints, which some of these are destroyed. That one moves good, but I think that one's locked up, that one's locked up, that one's locked up, and I was just showing them in my other video. Now what I do over here is this is kind of a mismatch of things, all different kinds of things. Some you might recognize if you've worked on the car a bit, some you might not. Okay, and so what I have here is obviously here is for your ball joints, you know, go in. Here's a brand new for the uppers, and here is one of the ball joint washers, and I think I have more of these somewhere. I have a couple old lug nuts. Now some of these the threads are a little boogered up in them. I just recently changed to the longer studs not long ago. So these are all brand new lug nuts, but again, just in case I were to run short on these, maybe one of these would be good enough to get me through. Now obviously I have your two different size shims, the big and the littles. Bigs for the front, littles for the back. Body buttons, got some body buttons. Now these, and this is just because the bag was a big bag, these are actually the bolts that are on your outside CV, the button heads. Now these things strip like crazy if you're not very, very, very careful with them. I've stripped many and had to cut them off, and so I decided to just get spares. So now every time I take them apart, they get new bolts. I don't even mess around with it. I just throw the old ones out. Okay, moving on. These right here would be old upper control arm bolts. Okay, now I have a box of brand new ones that I am going to add in here. So these are straight from Fastenal. I'm just going to mix them right in there because you can easily tell new from old. So these are all upper control arm bolts that we break, and so these are just the maintenance item that we talk about all the time. Okay, now these are your pins that for your arrow latches. I've actually broken two. One when I bumped into Jason Ayler. I broke one. It actually broke the next time I took the bodywork off after the race weekend at CMP. And then when I went off in roller coaster at VIR and mowed the grass, I ended up actually breaking the other one. And so it's perfectly fine. You can run and race the car with only one in the front instead of both. I think in the back, I'm not sure if you could because the body would set down much further. You might have to use something to try to space the body up. I'm not really sure how that would work, but in the front, you can get away with just one. But after that second time of breaking them, I reached out to Blair and said, Blair, send me 4 of them. And so I replaced them, and I have that one extra. Okay, so now what I have here and what I have more of over here is these are the for the ball joints. Okay, like I showed in my ball joint video, when you're replacing your ball joints, that's what those are. So moving forward, these are actually bolts that came with a complete CV axle that I got from Rush. I'm not sure, I don't think I'm ever going to use them, but these would be your inside bolts. The heads are kind of smaller on them. I'm just keeping them with me. Now these are involved in your rebuild of your CV axle. If you've taken one apart before, you've seen these right here. And so these are, again, you know, if I destroy one, then I need them. I have an extra little set there that came with those bolts, okay? And then obviously these nuts here, you have a big nut here, which is a 19 millimeter, and I don't know the spec, I could share it in the video description. And then see, these are the two nuts that basically make up for putting all of your suspension pieces nut wise together, okay? So like these are your ball joints, and then these are a lot of your other ones, all right? So what I have here is, these are from my AIM SmartyCam 3 lenses. If you have one of those, I destroyed my lens on the regular, so I carry spares. These bolts here, I think, might be the same bolts that are for the inside CV. I think that's what these ones might be. I only have two of them. I could be wrong about that. Obviously these are for the lower floor. If you've ever taken your lower panels off, these are, you know, down there. These are just some random old used Nylock nuts. I know I'll probably never need them, being I have all those, but there's some other things in there, like for the clutch cable. Okay, there's random stuff. You know, again, I like to keep the random stuff. These obviously go on your, you've probably seen them. Oh, here's more of the, nope, never mind, they're not it. So I have to think about what those are. A couple fuses. Now I actually have a whole fuse kit inside my trailer that have many more of the main fuses. The main fuse is the only one that I've blown so far. But so I have a pack of main fuses in my trailer. And then right here is the master link for that chain that I showed you just a little bit ago. So that pretty much sums up. I mean, obviously I carry a bunch of little Allen wrenches. Like, you know, obviously I have the whole set of these T-handles, which are fantastic. I carry this with me. I got some silicone brake caliper grease. Not that I use this on the car, but you never know what I might need to lubricate something. Like maybe these buttons. You can use this dielectric or compound, you know, grease on those. Works well. Obviously you're going to have your red and blue Loctite. Got my folder with all my Rush paperwork in it for some of the maintenance items. I carry an impact with me because, you know, you got to have an impact. And I think that pretty much sums up all of the spares that I carry with me as of right now. If there's something that you carry with you that you think I should add to mine, shoot me a message, comment in my video, comment on the Facebook post on the page. Obviously I'm just putting this out as a resource for new owners, maybe people who aren't owning yet, or maybe some of you all who are working on building up your stashes on what's important. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned for more videos. Thanks.